podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premium Networks on my daughter Abby's birthday, Sunday, March 22nd, 2020. Happy birthday, Abby. This is episode 1680. Enjoy. The Tech Guy comes to you from Twit's LastPass Studios. Stay in control when it comes to your company's access points and authentication. LastPass makes enterprise-level security simple, whether you're working at home or at the office. Check out lastpass.com/twit to learn more. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Oh, yeah, it's time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography. We got your smartphones. We got your smart watches. We got all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo. This is a show where we talk about tech incessantly, obsessively, without let up. And here we will escape to the toy store. 8888 Ask Leo. New toys from Apple this week. It's weird because Apple has closed all their stores worldwide except for the Chinese stores, which they've reopened. Well, also weird. But you can't go in an Apple store. In fact, I just was reading people who had brought Apple gear in for repair were given a couple of days' notice, like, come get your stuff. We'll hand it out through the mail slot to you. And after that, you got to wait till the stores reopen. Can that possibly be the case? I guess they don't want anybody going in. You can't go try these devices. I think Apple's probably understands that most people don't need to try the new iPad or the new MacBook Air. Everybody knows what Apple's... You could smell what Apple's cooking, right? So, new MacBook Air, just like... So they hadn't released a MacBook Air for a long time. And then in 2018, much to everybody's relief, because the MacBook Air, which was the very first Ultrabook, they really created a category. Everybody copied them then. That's those newish. Now they've been around for 5 years. But the very thin, around 2-pound light computer... That was the first MacBook Air. Remember when Steve Jobs introduced it, which must have been pre-2011. That's when he passed away. So more than 10 years ago. He had it in one of those inter-office envelopes, inter-office mail, the manila envelope. It was in that, and he pulled it out, and everybody went, ooh, how can you get a computer so thin? That was a big deal, the Ultrabook. It set a standard. But they hadn't updated it very much, and so it had the old kind of... It was hard to use, frankly, because the screen resolution was so low. So they've put out a Retina MacBook Air in 2018. Of course, I immediately ran out and bought it and discovered its #1 flaw: the worst keyboard ever made. I mean, just awful. So much so that Apple has since promised to fix it for anybody who's got stuck with it. Breadcrumbs would get under it, it'd break, and you couldn't take it apart and replace the keyboard. You had to replace the whole darn thing. It was all glued together. It was just nutty. But Apple, to their credit, after enough people howled, fixed it. In the new MacBook Pro they put out at the end of last year, they have a nice new Magic, they call it. I think they call it Magic. I think everything's Magic now from Apple. Magic keyboard that, while not the best keyboard I ever used... It's nothing compared to a Lenovo laptop, for instance, those ThinkPad keyboards. I just got the new Dell XPS 13. Their Ultrabook. Beautiful thing. And a fantastic keyboard. And it's interesting because it's not how far down the key goes. It travels still only about 1 millimeter. It's not very far. But they cushion it at the bottom of the stroke or something, so it just feels... It's springy. It feels better. And Apple, even on the new Magic keyboard... It's still a little bit not great. But that new Magic keyboard is going to be on the new MacBook Air. It's out next week. It starts arriving. Not in stores, in your mailbox. I hope they should ship it in a manila envelope, an interoffice mail. That would be funny. I don't think they will. So it'll have a better keyboard. It has, I think, the same screen. It's a Retina display. Better processors, the new 10th generation Intel processors. Not quite as good as in my Dell XPS. Apple uses the low-power Y versions. Why not? Of the Intel processors, but still much faster. Probably, twice as fast as the 2018 MacBook Air. So that'll be nice. Should have very good battery life. And unlike most other companies, except for I think Huawei, it comes in silver, slate gray, and gold. Of course, I ordered the gold. If you can get a laptop in gold, I have all these silver laptops, or even black laptop. A gold laptop, that's something special. It doesn't cost more. It's not solid. It's not real gold. It's not solid gold. It's gold aluminum. So they announced that, and then they announced the thing that was more interesting. That was good, by the way. It had been almost 2 years. It was time. And if you like that form factor, and I think I really do. Oh, the other thing they did with that is they lowered the price. It was $12.99 in 2018. It is now $9.99 for the base model. $8.99 if you're education, which pretty much everybody is. If you know a student, you can get it. $8.99 is a great price. That's an important price. Anything under $1,000 is an important price point for schools. Not that Apple's going to sell many to schools right now, but maybe some students will buy it for working at home. They also announced a new iPad, and this is the more interesting. This is the new iPad Pro, 11 and 12.9 inch. Same size, pretty much looks like the iPad Pro from, has it been 2 years now? Wow. Much of the same features, except a much, much, much faster processor. Again, 50 to 100% speed increase. 8 graphics processors. But that's not the, and the camera, it's got 2 lenses now. The iPhone 11 Pro has 3, but it's got 2, a wide and ultra wide. And it's got something that the iPhone does not have, which is, Apple calls it a LiDAR sensor, and not a LiDAR sensor. It's a little kind of, it's what we call in the biz a time of flight sensor. It sends out light, measures its return speed, kind of like a bat does with sound, right? Sonar. And then can make a 3D image of the world around you. Why would you want to do that? Well, for augmented reality. So now the IKEA app can really understand what your living room looks like and put furniture in there. Or more to the point, you can play hot lava in your living room. That's cool, I guess. Problem with that is, you have to hold this heavy thing up all the time. Anyway, it's a selling point. A lot faster. The thing that's most interesting to me is Apple's decision to design and sell in May, in a couple of months, a new keyboard. Yes, it's magic, for the iPad, for the current iPad Pro and the one that's just about to come out next week, that does something interesting. It has a cantilever design, and so it's using magnets still to attach to the iPad, but you can raise it up off the ground, kind of like, I don't know, like maybe even a little mini iMac, kind of up. And then the keyboard apparently is better and has a trackpad. Wait a minute. You do that. You raise it up, trackpad, keyboard. That's like a laptop. That's the magic. The keypad even has a Type-C connector for power that powers both the keyboard and the iPad. Just like a laptop. And now I think Apple's strategy becomes clear. I've been wondering. In fact, there were rumors Apple was going to make a ARM-based Mac OS and kind of blur the lines between iOS, its tablet and phone operating system, and its Mac OS, its desktop and laptop operating system. And now I don't know if that's the case. I think what Apple's very clearly done is said, look, this is the computer for the rest of us, the iPad. It's kind of costs the same. It costs maybe a little bit more than the MacBook Air because the keyboard's $350. And the 12.9 inch, the laptop sized iPad starts at $1,000. Right now it's already $1,350, and if you put more storage, a decent amount of storage in it, suddenly it's $1,500. Unlike the Macs, it's touch. Unlike the Macs, it has LTE as an option, so you can put it. Take it out in the world and use the cell network for data. I think that's important. What's missing? There's only one thing missing from this. That would be a really nice computer. Secure, touch first, beautiful screen, great keyboard, trackpad, so you got mouse capabilities. The software does not yet live up to it. But I think this is Apple's plan. If we can just get the software on the iPad to be more desktop, then we can say, okay, the Macintosh, that's the truck. That's for developers, for rocket scientists, for people who, doing that kind of thing. And the iPad, that's for everybody else, for normal people. I think Apple's roadmap suddenly has become clear with this release. Of course, I ordered it. I won't get it till May, but I'll have a review of the new MacBook Air and the new iPad in the next week or so. Website, techguylabs.com. That's free, no sign up. That's where everything we talk about today will be, so you don't have to write anything down. Phone number 8888-ASK-LEO. Well, that's the key, and I ran out of time before I got to talk about it, Anthony, but they've got to get now the developers to start. The problem, I'll tell you, it's a longer explanation. We'll do it on Twitter this evening. The problem is that Apple, simultaneously, as they released the iPad and the iPhone, killed the app market by making the standard for apps $1, $5. So nobody is incented to make real productivity software for it. You just can't make enough. And this is the big problem right now that Apple's facing. They've set a standard so low and nobody will pay more than $5 for Apple for iOS software. So she's unbreakable, invincible, impermeable. It's the unbreakable phone angel. Kimmy, don't take no shaffer. Hi, Kimmy.
You got me with what you said right before we went on the air.
We were talking about
bit TMI.
Yeah, it is. We were talking about the toilet paper crisis in this country.
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, so it's my daughter's birthday today, and it's very kind of a
anticlimactic.
Well, no, it's appropriate to the times, shall we say? First of all, I can't hug her. I have to stay 6 feet away from her. So I'm going to wave as I throw her presents out the window of my car as I drive by. But you know what I'm giving her is face masks, sanitizing wipes, hand sanitizer, vitamin D. But it's a sign of the times, right? I'm giving her an instant read thermometer. This is the world we live in now. And you know what? She will appreciate those gifts. And I was thinking of throwing a roll of toilet paper in there because I have enough. I have plenty. We didn't run out and buy any. We didn't wipe it out, but we have those those Japanese toilets. You don't need toilet paper.
You also had that automatic Amazon delivery, right? So
yes, we had a paper good glut. My wife said, "Can you please stop getting them to send us toilet paper, tissue paper, and paper towels?" Because I had it on subscribe and save.
Right.
And you can't, the problem, it's a cool feature, which, by the way, probably does not work anymore, but it's a cool feature because you get a discount and you say every 3 months, bring me more toilet paper. The problem is very hard to gauge how much you're going to go through. And for instance, we're out of Ziploc bags now. I undergauged that, but I overgauged the paper towels, so.
Well.
Hey, let's not use up this whole segment, you and me. It's nice to talk to you from a distance.
Sure. I hope it's not like this very long, but it's going to be longer than I'd prefer.
Yeah. Well, I never talk to you anyway, so it's, you're always in that room.
I'm telling you what, when this is over, everybody's getting a hug. Because I'm a little bit starved
I know, me too. And it's going to be very hard to see my daughter on her 28th birthday and not give her a giant hug, but I'm just going to say, here's my gift to you, not getting sick.
Right. All right. Well, let's talk to Steve in Ontario, Canada.
Let's.
Line 3.
Let's. Thank you. Stay healthy.
I'll try.
Over there in your distant, soundproof room. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Kim. Hello, Steve. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello. How are you doing today?
I am well. How are you?
Not too bad, thanks. I just want to tell you how thankful I am that I can talk to you today. I've been a fan of yours for years, and I'm in Canada here, and for a while there was just you and Dave Chalk and Steve Zotto, and
thank goodness, isn't it great? Thank goodness for the radio, for the podcasts, because they're international now, right? So Dave and I did the only computer shows in Canada for some time, but now you can get anything anywhere. You're not dependent on Rogers to bring you the content you want. And I think that's a fabulous. Even this radio show can be heard all over the world thanks to podcasts.
I know, because for a while I was trying to listen to you on KTLA, and I'd have to use the VPN, and that only worked for a while.
Yeah, no, podcasts are, as far as I know, nobody's put any geographic restrictions on podcasts. Thank goodness.
No, that's good. And I have a friend. See, I got to preface this by saying that I'm in a wheelchair, and I have a friend that visits me faithfully every Friday.
That's lovely. That's great.
Thank you. And he's a bit of a Luddite when it comes to technology, and I've been trying to get him to get a cell phone.
Yeah, because then you could FaceTime. Because, honestly, those visits are going to be a little constrained as we go forward.
Well, that's true. And the thing is, I like your sponsors, and I was trying to get. I was telling them about Mint Mobile, but the problem is, as far as I can tell, I can only get Mint Mobile in the U.S.
U.S. only. Yeah. This is the really sad thing. I mean, I don't want TELUS or Bell, but I can't get that in the U.S. either. Fortunately, I don't want it. That's your cell phone companies up there. And that's just the way it is. Every phone company is regional. The drawback to Mint Mobile, they're T-Mobile, but they don't do roaming. So, and I should mention they are a sponsor of our podcast, and it's a great deal. It's very inexpensive, but it's U.S. only, and they don't roam. So even if you have it, if I went to Canada, I would have to use some other service.
Well, is there any way that I can get another U.S. service in Canada, or do I have to have
No. I remember when I was going up there to do the show, Amber MacArthur, really, the iPhone had come out and really wanted an iPhone. I don't blame her. Who wouldn't, right? This is 2007.
Yes.
But the problem was it wouldn't work on any Canadian carrier. You couldn't just bring it up there. So don't tell anybody. But I jailbroke it so that she could put a I can't remember what it was, probably a Rogers SIM in it. And she never did it because she didn't trust it. She said, I'm not going to use this jailbroken phone. But I brought her an iPhone, and I had to jailbreak it just so she could use it. So that's the problem. There isn't, as far as I know. Now, what you should check, I don't know what the situation is in Canada. For this is called an MVNO. We have lots of them in the U.S., a mobile virtual network operator. And really all they're doing is reselling the cell service from the big three now, which is Verizon, Sprint, and at&t, and T-Mobile, and Sprint have merged, so I guess it's Verizon, at&t, and T-Mobile. And they resell it. Sprint was a lot of it. If you went to Walmart in the States and got Straight Talk, that was an MVNO, and you could choose your carrier. So there's quite a few of those, and for some reason, probably because it's off-brand, these companies like at&t or T-Mobile give these MVNOs big discounts, and they can resell it for much less than the big boy. There are drawbacks, though. No roaming is one. In some cases, I think this is the case with Mint Mobile, I'm not sure. If you're on a crowded cell site, like there's a lot of T-Mobile subscribers using that cell site, they will slow down the Mint Mobile. Like the people buying the resale stuff won't get as good a service as the people buying them. That makes sense. You're paying a lot more. And I mean a lot more.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So I don't know what the situation is in Canada for MVNOs. That's an interesting question. I don't. It may be a regulatory thing that happens here because the FCC requires it. Somebody will know. Somebody will know.
If I have a U.S. address, can I get it mailed up here?
No, because there's no cell towers. See, that's the problem. The cell towers. They might be compatible, but you'll be roaming. Steve, stay well, stay healthy. Okay. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, car guy, coming up. Yeah, it broke my heart. You saw the videos of the woman celebrating her 100th birthday, and her family had to stay 20 feet away, and that's tough. But 7-Eleven has an MVNO for Rogers. Okay, Karsten, how did you know that? Karsten knows everything. So Steve, that's one option. You can go to 7-Eleven, and they have a 7-Eleven phone. I don't know what they call it, but that's using the Rogers network. And Rogers is very strong in Ontario. That's their home province. We're having a little trouble raising Sam. He had to reboot his computer. Little behind-the-scenes secret here. We almost all of our contributors are remote. Sam's in Detroit. The Gizwiz is in Manhattan. Johnny Jett is in Manhattan Beach. Who else is there? Chris Marquardt is in Germany.
And Scott.
and Scott Wilkinson's in L.A. So all of our hosts are remote. We're up here in Northern California, but we use Skype, and actually, it works pretty darn well. Except when it doesn't. And Sam, sometimes these things happen, has to reboot his computer. So we're going to delay the car guy. When we get Sam back on, we'll we'll pull him up and talk about cars. That's it. I've been doing work from home forever. I mean, my studio's not at home, but it might as well be. It's kind of comfy. It's a living room-ish place. And these days, because of the virus, I'm the only one in here. I lock the door when I leave. I don't let anybody in here. And that way I feel like I can still come in here and work. And we do have a studio engineer. And, of course, Kim's here. But they're far away in another studio, locked in there. So that way we're able to keep it safe. I'll tell you what, I guess I'll do another call because I don't see Sam coming in here. But let's get Brian on the line from Nashville. Hi, Brian.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I am hanging in like a hare in a biscuit.
Oh, man, you get me every time, Brian. I got to put a sign up that says, when Brian says, how you doing, don't return the favor. How you doing, Brian? Oh, no, never mind.
I'm not. You only get one a day.
Okay, good.
I got something right up your alley. I have two friends.
Yes.
That are wanting to do, and these are, by the way, when you share with people, I've always told my wife, when people ask what I do, just tell them I work for a hospital. But I'm actually an IT guy. When she tells them I'm an IT guy, guess what happens?
Isn't it funny? It used to be, if you were a doctor, you never told them you were a doctor because then people say, oh, well, I have this pain all down my shin.
Exactly.
And you'd have to do house calls at a party. Now it's IT, right? You definitely don't want anybody to know you know anything about technology.
No. I have literally come home at times, and I walk in, and there's a computer on the dining room table.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
No.
Man.
It's so funny you should say this because there was just an article, I can't remember whether The Verge or Engadget, one of the tech blogs, how to give your friends gadgets without having to support them.
Oh, good point.
Yep.
We have a saying, if you touch it, it's yours. Don't touch it.
Don't touch it.
Don't touch it. Anyway, I have two friends, and I'm sure I can, as far as the technology side of it, I can figure out as far as hardware and stuff. But I have two friends that want to do a podcast. I said, this is right up your alley.
Yeah, make them call me. So thank you, Brian. Great. No, I'm actually always glad to help people podcast because as you know, 40 plus years in radio. Exactly. And along came podcasting, and I thought, this is amazing. Audio is back. And I think we now listen to more. You know what? My love for radio wasn't the love for the transmitter, the tower. It was, the technology of. It was the simple medium of voice, human voice, communicating directly one to another. I just love that. And audio is great because, unlike TV, and I've done a lot of TV, the pictures are in your mind. And so it's so much more vivid. In TV, I have to show you a picture, but that's never going to be as good as the picture I can paint in your mind. So I love audio, and I'm glad to see it's coming back. The good news is podcasting is so big that there are it used to be a little more complicated. Now, does your friend have a smartphone?
Oh, well, yeah, they do. But the issue here is, and again, that rule, you touch it, it's yours. So,
what kind of podcast do they want to do? They want to launch bunch.
Well, it's two of them. One lady is at church. She wants to do something for her group of ladies that she meets once a week. She wants to actually record some of the stuff they do, so it's available all the time. Which you could kind of just.
Does she want it to be publicly available, or just for those ladies?
I think both, but I haven't got into that detail. She's asked me, but the main one is I'm a Tennessee naturalist, and one of the things the Tennessee Naturalist Group, what's perfect is they want to do one on birding.
Oh, neat.
Bird songs, which is perfect for podcasting, and they're even going to try to pin me in on it because they say I have a radio voice, and I'm like,
You do. You sound great.
Stop.
And you could use that that crappy hair on a biscuit line every week. It could be your tagline.
But
so let me give you the simple. Let me give you the simple answer.
I want to know is the and I'll let you help. I definitely want you to help. They make it so easy today. It used to be edited, but the main thing is the platform online to use that would work best. And I can spend some money. The main thing is the platform online to use to make it available for
everybody. Let me cut through this
online, and then editing.
Yeah, very simple. It's really, really simple. And again, it comes back to if they have a smartphone, they have everything they need to do a super professional podcast. So all smartphones have recorders. If you want, you could get an external microphone that would sound better. If it's an iPhone, Shure makes a series of microphones designed for the iPhone called the Motiv, M-O-T-I-V series. They're inexpensive. They sound very good. They have different patterns. So if it's a bunch of women sitting around talking about a book, you just seat them around the iPhone. It'll pick it up. It'll sound great. You can record it onto the iPhone. There's a program, if you want to edit it, that's very good called Twisted Wave. You can also record it on the iPhone and move it to a computer and edit it there. Twisted Wave is available.
I use the Mac.
Yeah, Twisted Wave's on the Mac. It's my favorite audio editor on the Mac. Not expensive. And then once you've got the recording, the way to publish it is Anchor FM. It's a free app. It just got bought about 6 months ago by Spotify, but it's still for free. Anchor will either take pre-recorded sound, or you could use your phone to record little snippets that you then assemble into a podcast. They have little bumper music and stuff you can use for free, theme music. And
that was my next question, because I didn't want it just to be start where they're talking, end and they're talking. I didn't want to get fancy, something that just started. You always have that intro you use every time that kind of.
Yeah. You could do all of that on Anchor. Anchor simplifies what used to be very complicated, and they don't charge you for bandwidth at all. Plus, when you make a podcast on Anchor, A-N-C-H-O-R, they automatically put it on iTunes and everywhere else podcasts go. It does it all for you. It's the simplest thing in the world. Now, I suspect that ultimately this is a play by Spotify to kind of own podcasting. But for right now, it's a public podcast. It's an RSS feed. It goes to iTunes. It can go anywhere. People can subscribe. You get a web page at anchor.fm. You can make that web page be your own URL. You know how to do that. You're a tech guy. So mine is Lotl Fun, because it stands for Leo on the Line. It's a dumb podcast because I have a whole network, but just to play with Anchor, LOTL.FUN, Lotl Fun. And so it's got a website that's just an Anchor page. It does it all. It used to be a little more complicated. Don't tell them it's easy. Tell them you're a genius. But go to Anchor FM, and you can put Anchor.fm on your iPhone or Android device. It couldn't be easier. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yay, we got Sam. So we'll do Sam when we come back. How about that, Sam?
Sounds good.
Sorry about that. Well, why am I apologizing to you?
Skype was giving me a hard time. I was trying to answer, clicking on the answer button, and it would not respond.
I should apologize to you for making you use Skype. That's what's wrong.
Well, yeah. I mean, most of the time Skype works fine. But for some reason today, when it called, it just was giving me a hard time. I don't know why.
Well, that's the problem with Skype. You don't know why. That's the story.
Exactly.
The Skype story. So good. So it's fine. You still get a segment. You get roughly the same amount of time, I think.
All right. So today I want to talk about a study that came out. It was done in Britain on the change in response times when people are using Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and particularly when they're using the touch interface.
Yeah, but it's not surprising.
No, not at all. I mean, and you've heard me before rail against touchscreens in cars, and this is just another piece of evidence.
Yep.
Yeah. It takes more cognitive load to use a touchscreen than it does to use other interface methods.
How are things in Detroit? Have you guys been shut down?
Not as completely as you guys have. Like all the restaurants and bars and everything are closed except for takeout.
Yep.
Most of the businesses are, working from home. All the automakers have all shut down. The salary people are working from home. The factory people are just, not working at all right now. I was replacing a toilet in the house yesterday and had to go over to Lowe's to get a part. And, I ordered it online so I could just walk in, pick it up and go. And I was surprised that it seemed to be just as busy as it ever is on a Saturday afternoon. So, it's definitely not hasn't slowed down as much as it has in a lot of other parts of the country.
Right. I wonder if they're going to wish they had.
I suspect in another week or two they probably will. Hopefully once they get some more test kits. So far I think we've got about 28, 30 confirmed cases here in Washtenaw County where I live. It's about 600 across the state.
Wow.
So it's not good.
No, not at all. Well, I presume you're self-isolating and social distancing and all that.
As much as I can. Fortunately, my neighborhood is, it's a nice residential neighborhood, so I can still go out and walk Daisy every day a couple of times. And
good.
The dog leashes are just the right length so that, when another dog, we can stand at leash length and be, more than 6 feet apart, and the dogs can still greet each other. So
yeah, good. Yeah, that's fine. So you are doing it. You're not.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I work from home anyway, so
it's easy for us.
The main thing is, I travel a fair bit, and even when I'm not traveling,
you're not doing that anymore, are you?
I go to a lot of meetings and events and things like that locally with companies, and I don't get the opportunity to do that. So
yeah, those are all off now, I presume.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Everything's been shut down for weeks now.
You'd be nuts to do any of that.
Yeah.
I flew to St. Louis March 4th, and I'm, it's now been 2 weeks, so I feel like we dodged a bullet. But boy, that was, we had I flew on a plane both ways, and we had a panel discussion. That was pretty good. But then we had a party the night before. We had a meetup and shook a lot of hands, gave a lot of hugs. Fortunately, I guess nobody was sick. So, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, look who's here. Sam Abuelsamid. He's our car guy, principal researcher at Navigant Research. He's the host of Wheel Bearings, the Wheel Bearings podcast at wheelbearings.media. And like all podcasters, he actually embraces social distancing. Hello, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, my co-hosts and I do the Wheel Bearings podcast. We are social distanced inherently most of the time. My two co-hosts, I'm in the Detroit area. My two co-hosts are in Boston and Connecticut. So, we rarely ever see each other, or at least one of them I rarely ever see. The other one I used to see on a regular basis when we traveled, but not so much anymore.
It's interesting because while people like us, this isn't too much of a change. I think we're seeing a lot of people, discovering these technologies, struggling with them in some cases. But it's all for the best. We're gonna get through this together. So I'm glad you're staying healthy and social distancing. It looks like you've got a CarPlay over your shoulder there. What is that?
Yeah, I got CarPlay and Android Auto and a chart from a study that came out earlier this week from Britain, from an organization called I Am Road Smart. And they are an organization dedicated to traffic safety. And so they do a lot of research, do a lot of promotional stuff to promote road safety. And the study that they did with a testing company to take a look at driver reaction times when using smartphone projection systems like Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. And what they found was quite startling, I think, probably to a lot of people. The they ran these tests with 40 participants, 20 Android users, 20 Apple iPhone users, so they could get both types of systems in there. And they did it in a full motion simulator, so you were actually sitting in a car with the phone plugged in, and they had a series of tasks, and it's surrounded by a screen all the way around. So you're driving down the road and required to do certain tasks, like change the song, using Spotify and the BBC iPlayer, do a couple of navigation tasks, read out text messages that were coming in. And they did it in two ways, with using voice commands with Google Assistant and Siri on the iPhones, and then also doing it using the touchscreen. And they compared the results to tests that they had done previously, just a control test where they were using none, and then also against some previous tests that they had done where drivers had been intoxicated. They had to drink some alcohol to get them to the legal limit in Britain, which I think is about the same here as is here, about 0.08% blood alcohol, and also drivers that had used cannabis. And what they found was that the change in reaction time to various events as they were driving down the road was actually worse when using these systems than it was for either alcohol or
You're
weed.
kidding. It's worse than being drunk to have CarPlay.
Yes. So they found that when they were drunk, the reaction time slowed down by 12%.
Yeah.
When they were high on marijuana, it was reduced by 21%, or it was increased by 21%. Using a hands-free Bluetooth phone is 27%. With
Holy,
voice,
you mean just wait a minute? Hands-free. I'm just talking. It's It's more than either of those.
It takes more cognitive load to carry on a conversation while you're driving than it does if you're not doing any of that, but you're just intoxicated. With voice, with Android Auto, it went to 30% and 35%, or 36% with CarPlay. With using the touch screen, it went to 53% increase in reaction time for Android Auto and 57% for CarPlay. So this is more evidence that using a touchscreen in the car actually significantly increases the cognitive load, the cognitive demand. And they also, among the things that they did, they also were monitoring the driver's gaze to look at and to measure how much of the time they were looking away from the road while using these systems. And with both Android Auto and CarPlay, they significantly exceeded the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration recommends no more than 12 seconds looking away from the road, which is a long time to be looking away from the road. It significantly exceeded that for both of those systems when using the touch interface. So using touch screens, this is why I've long felt that having touch screens in cars is a terrible idea. We should not doing it.
But talking on the phone is a terrible idea too.
It is.
And we all do that, and that's perfectly legal. They can't ban that.
Yeah, I mean anything you're doing that is not driving is going to take cognitive load.
Ford always said when they had the Ford Sync, they used to be an advertiser. The Ford said the whole idea of our voice system is that you keep your eyes on the road and the hands on the wheel. But honestly, even the cognitive load of talking to a voice assistant is just as bad as being drunk.
Yeah, it is. And, granted, using a handheld phone, holding your phone in your hand.
That's really bad because your hands are tied.
It's worse.
Yeah.
But it was actually not as bad as using Android Auto and CarPlay. And I think the reason for that is, when the phone's in your hand and you're tapping it to text, because you actually have a little more precision with your thumb, while you're tapping on the screen, holding it in your hand, versus reaching your arm out to hit a touch screen in the center of the car. So, it actually takes more load when you're going for a remote touch screen than something that you're doing directly with your hand, that's in your hand.
This is depressing.
It is.
So really,
that's why just turn off all this stuff.
Pay attention. Just drive. Don't even talk on the phone.
Yes.
Oh my goodness! I always assumed, well, that's not so bad, but it is distracting because you're really in two spaces. When you're talking to somebody, part of your mind is in a conversation with them, not on the job at hand. And you know that. I mean, you know, you see people doing, working and talking on the phone. You can't do that.
And I mean, you've talked about this in the past. Where humans don't really multitask.
No,
we task switch. You know? So
like a computer,
most of our,
you slice it up. You go, I'm doing that now. I'm doing this now. I'm doing that. But you can only do one thing at a time. Period. Ever.
Exactly.
Part of the problem, and I noticed this with the Tesla self-drive feature. If you let your attention be diverted, even a little bit, when your attention is, when you need to pay attention to the road, there is a moment of time where you have to readjust, figure out what's going on before you can react. You have to go, okay, what's happening now? What's going on? And that is the moment of time you need to save yourself.
Yeah, this is one of the fundamental problems with partially automated driving systems, in that that handoff period. If you are not paying full attention to the road, and you have to take over, getting yourself reoriented to what is going on, and especially when that happens, it tends to be a very short period of time. Even if you do immediately, take control when the system alerts you, it still takes, a second, 2, 3 seconds sometimes, depending on the situation, to really get your situational awareness, where it should be.
Well, important lesson for everybody to pay attention to. Pay attention to the road. I can't wait till we don't drive anymore. This is really the push for self-driving cars, which may be a long way off. But humans are terrible drivers. We just are.
Well, all things considered, like I said, we do it better than most people give us credit for.
but not well enough.
Not well enough, yes.
It's a life or death situation every moment you're on the road. You're going 60 miles an hour in a 3-ton vehicle.
Yeah,
Sam Abuelsamid, he does wheel bearings. It's his podcast at wheelbearings.media. He joins us every week. I'm glad we could get you on, Sam. Safe.
Yeah, me too.
I almost usually say safe driving, but if you have your top up on the Miata, I guess it's safe. Have a great week.
No, the top wouldn't help much.
Stay healthy. We'll see you next week. Thank you, Sam.
All right, bye.
So, Dr. Mom, I didn't welcome back. Dr. Mom is my virtual physician. As she and I both are high risk. So it's okay. You think it's a good idea to check my temperature? I figure if I have a normal temperature, I'm probably all right. Stop repeating that stupid Science Alert article, would you please? That thing is a piece of crap. Stop repeating that Science Alert article repeated nowhere else. Oh, man. Yes, it's BS. But then that, by the way, putting it that way, Scooter X makes it very confusing. Who now doesn't recommend avoiding ibuprofen? In other words, ibuprofen's fine. It was a very speculative piece of information from the idiot French health minister, unjustified by science. Science Alert is not a very good publication. They repeated it. Everybody quotes it. It's BS. It's not science. Now, on the other hand, I'm getting some Tylenol because... Right, Dr. Mom? That's what they give you when you go to the hospital. It's good for reducing fever. The problem with Tylenol is it's highly toxic. You will recover. For most people, don't go to the hospital. Yeah, you could take Motrin. You don't have to stick with Tylenol. Do not take chloroquine plus azithromycin. That's just nutty. That's the president going nuts. Listen to the doctors. The problem with acetaminophen, I actually have a friend of the family died from acetaminophen overdose because it's not hard to overdose. And it's in a lot of stuff. There's a lot of hidden acetaminophen. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk about computers and the internet and home theater and digital photography and smartphones and smartwatches and all that jazz. 8888. Ask Leo is my phone number, 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you could still reach us. Use Skype out or something like that. I'll call a phone number in the U.S., and that should be toll-free, no cost to you. 888-827-5536. We have a website. Of course we do. It's a tech show. Got to have a website. techguylabs.com. And that is a place you can go after the show or even during it and search for, if I mention a link or a product or whatever, you can go there and all the information's there. And we don't charge to sign up. There's no membership. I don't even want your email address. There's not. Just go there and you can search. It's like the old days of the web. Just a place you can go and look up stuff. techguylabs.com. We even put audio and video from the show after the fact up there. So if it's divided into shows and then each show into hours. Hour 1, 2, 3, each hour into calls or segments. So you can drill right down to the part you want. Watch that question and answer or read it. You can even add comments. Now, that's one place where you do have to kind of sign in only because we want to keep spammers out. But you can use your Facebook account, your Twitter account, your Google account. So, it's quick and easy. techguylabs.com. And your feedback is always appreciated. If you hear me say something you disagree with it, no need to shout at the radio. You could just go to the website and say, Leo's wrong. I was talking to the chat room during the break. We have a really fun chat room, irc.twit.tv. You can go there in a browser or an IRC client. And I said, watch out, guys and gals. It's about, I think on a regular basis, a few hundred people in there. And by the way, not just during the show, but all week long. It's a hangout. I said, watch out, because you pretty much all the regulars in the chat room, you like self-isolation. You don't mind social distancing. I'm generalizing, but as a rule, we're kind of introverts. We tech people. That's why we are so interested in machines. People make us nervous. So the chat room, I would guess, is mostly filled with people who are happy. This is their social life. That's all they need. But there's a lot of people who are suffering right now. It's hard. I can't see my friends. I can't see my family. Can't go to a restaurant. Can't go to a bar. Can't go to the movies. They're missing social interaction. So I expect in our chat room over the next few days, weeks, months, however long this lasts, more people will come in there who are not introverts. So chat room, be nice. Welcome them. Give them a little social interaction. It's a party. It's text-only party. irc.twit.tv. We have one of our chatters, Dale Poco, of an evening. We'll play, quote, play music. He'll put links up to YouTube songs. He's the DJ in there. He'll play music, and then everybody clicks the link, and they're listening along and chatting along while they're listening. I think it's hysterical. It's really cool. And then there's Dr. Mom. We have a physician in there. She says, how about I scare them witless? Please don't. She does have good advice, though. She's a smart doctor in the chat room. We have a great group, and it's moderated, so it's family friendly and everything. You can get the link at the website techguylabs.com, or just go to you can do it in your browser, irc.twit.tv. Twit is my podcast network. This Week in Tech. 8888 asked Leo, in the early days, Mike B says, Ashley Witt and Deanne would have a radio stream after the show of their music. Now we just put links. Vic says, some of us never leave. I grew up here and I'm older than Leo. Oh, there's some fun people. A Tort Aloha, who is a very accomplished photographer. His pictures from Hawaii are beautiful. In fact, one of them, a sea turtle, was featured in the Shot on iPhone campaign on a billboard. He's in Chicago right now taking care of his mom. But he's a fun guy. You can always ask him questions. There's some smart tech people in there as well. Back to the phones we go. Mike, St. Cloud, Minnesota. Hello, Mike. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. Yes, I'm calling in because my dad, who just got home into Minnesota from his wintering in Arizona, and that was quite a trip.
I bet. Did he drive or did he fly?
He and my stepmom drove, and she would basically Lysol bomb any hotel room they stayed in, and then they were able to go to one sit-down meal during the whole time.
Wow. People, I think the germaphobes among us are saying, see, I told you. I told you.
Yeah.
We've all become germaphobes now. Well, I'm glad they made it home, and I'm glad they're safe and sound. That's great.
Yeah. But so he's got a Windows 7 laptop that I helped him buy some years ago.
Yeah.
And I know it's time to get a new one. And I'm thinking of getting him to a Chromebook.
I think that's a great idea. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's your questions?
Yeah. Well, the first thing is, if I have seen correctly, it's about 5 years, and that's when Google starts pulling plug on getting updates.
Yeah, that kind of bugs me, but I mean, look, Microsoft gave Windows 7 10 years, but one of the reasons we have to get you off Windows 7 is because it's not getting updated. The browsers will stop getting updated over time. Yeah, Google's not promising to update Chromebooks after, it sounds like 5 years, yeah. But that doesn't mean they won't or that they won't get updated. Look, they're so inexpensive that I think that's probably okay. But yeah, it's something to be aware of. They're also, I should say, they're very secure. So it's not like having to get Windows updated. Windows has lots of holes. Those Microsoft's patching Windows right and left as fast as they can as it leaks in all different ways. The design of Chrome OS is fundamentally secure. So even after it reaches end of life, you're going to get a few more years. What's really going to happen, you don't need those patches. There are very few patches. But the browser may not get updated. I bet it will, but if let's say it does run out. And so eventually, using an old version of Chrome, some websites might not work. And eventually, there may be an issue. You can figure out the end of life date on all Chromebooks. They should publish it. But if you go to the Chromebook itself and you go to About Chrome OS and additional details, there's actually something called Update Schedule that will show the end of support date. So you can always see what that is on any Chromebook. Something to pay attention to. I don't think it's quite as dramatic as the end of life in Windows.
Okay. Next question is remote access to it should he need help. Because as far as I can see, the only thing is Chrome Remote Desktop, which I've not been very happy with. Among other things, unless it's changed, you have to be logged in the same Google account on both ends.
Yeah, and that's for security. I don't think you will need to do it because that's the whole reason you want to get them a Chromebook. Is it's just the browser. It's not nearly as complicated. There are no security issues. He can't get malware. He cannot get malware. So the kinds of things that you had to remote support him on Windows 7, I don't think you're going to have those issues. Yeah, but it is. It's just, Chrome Remote Desktop is, I think it's good. But yeah, I think it's really, well, let's see. It says you can get remote support. So, no, you can let somebody else access and control the computer. They do not, you give them an access code. So you do not have to be on the same, I'm looking at the Chrome Remote Desktop website, remotedesktop.google.com. You can give them an access code, or your father can, and you can get in. So I don't think you're going to need to. But if, people get confused, what's this doing? I don't understand this. It might be handy, right?
Okay. Now, they have a old inkjet printer that's got to be at least 10 years old. I'm guessing that's not going to work with it.
It may or may not. Any printer that works with, now Google's deprecated this, but they're going to have an alternative that will work. Any computer that works, a printer that works with Google Cloud Print will work. 10 years, yeah, maybe not. But it might if they've got relatively recent drivers. So check and see if it'll work with Cloud Print. If not, you can get a new printer. Does he print a lot?
Not a lot, so that's why I'm thinking of maybe switching him to a laser printer, because I know those can sit around for eons and not.
It also might be time to wean him off the printing.
Yeah.
my mom, I do her taxes, and every year she says, please send me a printout. I said, you don't need a printout. I sent you a PDF. You don't need a printout. Just look at the PDF. But I like to look at the paper. It's a waste of paper, Mom. But you know how it is. You got to send her paper. So yeah, I understand. It's worth getting him to at least look at not printing things out. But yeah, you can get a more modern printer. Printers are cheap now.
True. Okay. Final question is, he has a piece of property, and he's got basically a hunter camera type thing up there that takes pictures every whatever minute.
Yeah.
Or by movement motion sensor to take pictures.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's got SD card.
Yeah, he'll be able to read that. You can read
download.
SD cards as long as it's a standard video format. Sometimes they use
just standard. It's like a JPEG or something.
Yeah. As long as it's a standard format.
Okay.
If they don't use an oddball format, yeah. Some Chromebooks have SD card slots, but any USB SD card reader will work with a Chromebook.
Okay, I wasn't sure on that.
Absolutely.
That's
the Chromebook, between you and me, don't tell him this, is Linux. It's a special version of the Linux operating system that's locked in, and it can only use Chrome. It can also use Android apps. So any Android app that he needs to use, I wouldn't recommend it. I don't like putting Android apps on my Chromebook, but you can if you have to. It's a good full purpose. It's basically a PC, but just really locked down, and that's what you want, honestly. If most of what you do is through a web browser, email and surfing and buying things, then the Chromebook is the absolute right choice and a lot less expensive. Look at the Samsung. They have some very nice Chromebooks.
cool. Thank you very much again.
Thank you for helping your dad. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls. 8888 Ask Leo coming up. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Line 4, John in Round Rock, Texas. Hello, John.
Hey, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. So I recently got into Java and API development for Minecraft, and
that's cool. That's great. Did you study this in school, or are you just kind of doing it as a hobby, or what's the deal?
I just saw some YouTube videos on it. I said I want to do that.
Nice.
A few months, but
nice. Yeah. So there are two versions of Minecraft. Actually, there's multiple versions, but there are two major versions. One is written in Java. They call it the Bedrock version, and I presume that's the one you're working with.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah, I work with the Java.
Yeah. And there is an API. I often tell kids who are interested in Minecraft and computing to get a Raspberry Pi, because there is a version of Minecraft Microsoft makes available for the Raspberry Pi that has a Python API. So you can. It's a good way to learn code for kids because they're motivated. I always show them how to build a bridge made out of dynamite that they can set off as they cross. That's a lot of fun. So what can I? That's great. I'm really glad to hear you're doing that, John. What do you want to know?
So right now I'm stuck with the Mac Mini, and with the server I made where I run the plugins, I'm the only one who can be on it.
Yeah.
It just gets too laggy. So I was planning on building a PC, and I was wondering if you could kind of push me in the right direction.
Well, I run 3-4 Minecraft servers at home right now.
That's awesome.
For my kid, and I run it on a Debian box, but it's a box that I call the Beast because I built it initially to be really a powerful server. So it has a Xeon in it and 64 gigs of memory. It's kind of a crazy machine. How old is that? I don't think you need to get anything that fancy. How old is that Mac Mini?
3 or 4 years.
So it's one of the earlier ones. How much RAM does it have? Because RAM is part of the issue.
I don't know how much RAM it has. I think I might be at 3 gigabytes.
That may be more of the problem. You should look at when you start up your server. You know there's a bunch of command line things in there, and two of them regard memory and how much memory the Minecraft server allocates. It's like XMG. I can't remember the details, but so I would look at those command lines and play with them a little bit to see if you can optimize the memory usage, because it may be that the processor's fast enough. It doesn't require a huge amount of processing. It may be that you're running out of RAM and it's starting to swap, and that really would make it laggy. Any modern processor, an i5 or an i7 with sufficient RAM, and I'd say 16 gigs, should be more than enough to run a Minecraft server. I used to run it on a Raspberry Pi, as I mentioned, and we would have. I only had one server, but there'd be about 5 or 6 kids in there at any given time, and it got a little slow, but not really awful. Maybe it's the plugins you're using. I don't know, but
they're fairly short. They're just like 50 lines each.
Yeah, I don't think that would make a big difference. If it can run on a Raspberry Pi, any modern NUC would do fine. And that's probably what I would get for a server is a NUC. that's Intel's small form factor mini PCs. If you go to Egghead, you can see a bunch of NUCs. And honestly, are you running it on Windows?
I'm running it on Apple.
Oh, that's right, because it's a Mac Mini. That's right, yeah. I think also if you got a NUC, you would run it on Linux. And this is a secondary skill, but if you're already coding in Java, this is going to be cake for you. But I run it on Debian, a Debian LTS long-term support version of Debian, so it's solid. It doesn't get updated much, and it's just rock solid. And I think that was going to be more efficient as well. The overhead of the Mac OS is probably more than you don't need a GUI to interface with this. In fact, I don't even use a keyboard, mouse, and monitor on the server. I just SSH into the server from my Mac, and I can do everything I need with the software. You could even write code that way. So I think probably a NUC, an Intel NUC. You can get them at egghead.com. i5 is plenty. And the speed is not that important, but RAM might be, so get 16 gigs of RAM. And make sure you get an SSD in there because, of course, the faster hard drive will make a difference as well. You should be all right, though. I don't have any trouble running. I've run it on a NUC, I've run it on a Raspberry Pi, and now I run it on a Xeon, crazy beast of a server. And that's why I can run 4 instances at once, and have many people online, and it never lags. It's not a super heavyweight, but what fun! I think that's a great project. What are you gonna do?
I've kind of gotten into speed running, so with the
fun,
I make it
fun. You're gonna have a blast. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So, eventually, would you like to have other people in your server?
Yeah, I'd like to actually run like a full-on server.
That's going to become, now it gets more complicated because then you have to have more, more horsepower because everybody in there is adding to the load, especially if they're in different parts of the map and so forth. So that's maybe something to consider. I use Spigot instead of the official Mojang server.
I use that. The one I run right now with just me on it. I also created it with Spigot.
Yeah, I think Spigot's a better server than the official Minecraft server. And I think it's pretty lightweight. So good. I'm glad to say, spigotmc.org. What else could I tell you? Plugins can kill you. My kid always is saying, hey, he wants new plugins all the time. So we have a lot of plugins running on it, and those really, especially because they're not that well written, they could really kill you. But so try it vanilla first, see if it's still laggy. I'd look at those switches to make sure you're allocating an appropriate amount of memory. There's 2 memory switches, as I remember, and look at the documentation for that to choose the right size.
Would that be in the start command part or in the server?
It's in that. It's in the command line, not the server properties. It's in the command line that you start it with. I should SSH into mine and look, but it's -X, and then I can't remember, MS I think is one of them. There's 2 different memory settings. It should be documented in the Spigot documents. There's 2 different settings, and you kind of want to tweak those, play with those, because I don't remember the details now, but I do remember messing with it to get it just right, and it's somewhat dependent on if you only have 3 gigs of RAM, that's going to be that's going to be an issue. So you want to allocate the RAM properly.
Yeah, I haven't fooled around with those. I mess with the server properties a ton.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
My sweet spot for that. And
of course. Yeah.
Right now I'm messing with like the ports and stuff to make sure there's no firewall.
So port forward, the canonical port is 25565. So I just go into my router and I say, hey, if you get any traffic on 25565, then send it to this machine, this IP, internal IP address. That works fine. There's a whitelist feature you're going to want to turn on if you do make it public. If you're going out to the public internet, you're definitely going to turn on the whitelist feature. And then the other thing I do is I actually have a domain name for it. so that it's easy for people to remember, which is kind of fun.
Do you set that in server properties or?
No, you got to get a domain name, and then you have to make sure that the domain in the DNS record goes to your public IP address. You may have to use Dyn DNS if your IP address changes a lot. My internet service provider rarely changes my IP address. It's not static, but he's never changes it. So that's cool too. I'll tell you what, send me an email. I'll let you into my server, leo@leoville.com.
So Leo
at
Leoville.
Leoville.com. Yeah, you could take a look at my server. We have a survival server that's pretty tough. I have one that I'm the only guy in there because I don't want the kids messing with my builds. They have an amazing build that they have built. They wanted to build a Petaluma, but they've just done an amazing build. And then in there's also a Twit build, which was done many years ago for the OMG Craft Show. He was scheduled to be in Ethiopia on a workshop right now, but he's home. Chris Marquardt, our photo guy, I think that's prudent. What happened?
Well, the German embassy in Addis Ababa told us to
get out of here.
The heck out of there.
Mach schnell.
I was on the last Lufthansa flight that made it out.
You're kidding.
And, well, they have a program now to bring Germans back from all over the world. So there's a government program in progress. But I got home the, in quotes, normal way, but a week earlier than planned.
I'm sorry.
The whole group is back home. So
good.
Everyone's
they all made it all right. Yeah. And that means, I guess, all your future workshops are in limbo, right?
Pretty much, yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
This year is going to be tough.
Yeah, it breaks my heart. The economy is just going to tank, and so many people out of work, unable to make a living. It breaks my heart, Chris. I'm sorry to hear you say that.
I'm just lucky that the photo tours aren't like the only thing I do. I mean, they're a big part, but there's a couple other things. So let's hope that the other things keep working.
Everybody buy Chris's books. He's got a book about film photography and wide-angle photography, and the books you can find at discoverthetopfloor.com. Yeah, because we want to keep Chris afloat in this tough time. How's the situation in Germany? Are you guys locked down?
No, there's no. Well, a few areas, a few parts of Germany have lockdowns, official ones, but most is still voluntary. Of course, most shops are closed. Only the essentials are open. So, yeah, that's where we are now. I'm okay. I'm a nerd, so I can stay at home, and I don't mind that too much. And there's a lot of things that I can do from home. I'm writing. I'm doing other things. So
good.
I'm podcasting, which I'm doing right from my home here.
TFTTF.com. Tips from the top floor.com. I know Angela Merkel, your chancellor, has gone into isolation because her doctor tested positive.
True.
So best wishes there. And I guess I'm looking here. It looks like some social distancing rules have been imposed, including
yes, they are.
No more groups of more than two.
That is since today we have
wow.
no more than two.
Wow.
In one place.
Okay, well, take care of yourself, and I hope you two, you and Monica, are healthy, and you're probably the thing is,
okay.
Most of us geeks we work at home. We don't hang out much. It's this is normal.
I've been practicing for this forever,
Yeah, so. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. We were scheduled to go to Germany in June.
It's not happening.
To the Oberammergau Festival, which they have done every 10 years since the 1600s to celebrate surviving the plague. The plague has shut them down. So we
probably not happening.
It isn't happening. They canceled it till 2022. So I guess I won't be going. Sorry.
Photokina's not happening.
Yeah.
A lot of other trade shows have been canceled.
Yeah.
So everyone's affected by this, and everyone with a camera is affected by this because now you're sitting at home and you're getting the cabin fever. So
give us some tips for people stuck at home.
That's why I'm here, because this is time, right? For many people, I mean, okay, you might work in a home office, so that doesn't mean that much additional time, but you now have the time that you would have used for your commute. So There is some additional time for most people. And using that time can help you be prepared for the time after the virus, because at one point this will be over and we will have a vaccine and we will be able to go out again. And excuse me, you want to be ready at that point, right? So, I mean, the basic things you can practice, right? The practicing. Of course, if you're a street photographer, probably not, but you can still practice the craft. You can still practice technique. You can use tabletop photography as a stand-in.
You've mentioned that before. I love that, which is, to make little dioramas on your tabletop and take pictures with that.
Or in your backyard, if it's okay to go out in your garden. The basic things will apply to all photography. Composition, how do I place things in a frame? What's the subject? How I deal with that? What's the background? How do I make the subject, the framing, the lines, the colors, the contrast? All that stuff you can practice at home. And maybe this is the perfect time for this.
If you have a drone... This is an opportunity to practice with your drone.
Maybe.
There was a guy, I saw a video, I wouldn't recommend this, of a guy walking his dog via drone. I'm not sure I'd recommend that. Yeah.
Another thing is I always recommend photographers to have their own website. I mean, there are all these platforms, but you never know what happens to them. So if you have your own website, this might be a good time to set up your own website. Or if you have one, to pretty it up, to do some SEO work, to make sure you can be found, to have the keywords right. So definitely something. Work on your portfolio. I have this portfolio and I go back to it and I realize that some pictures that I've taken long ago that I don't really think are representative of my work today, of what I am as a photographer. So there's some editing there for sure. You can work on that huge mountain of photos that you still have from the last 5 years. And so you can do some workflow, get your library in shape, get the keywords right, get the ratings right, all that. Again, there's the free ebook that I've done called 1hour1000pics.com that can help you doing that. You can brush up on your skills, maybe do some online classes. There's a lot of good video classes out there. Or maybe that's the time you want to try that one tool that you've been eyeing but never had the time to really dig into. So maybe this is your time to research some new tools, to try them out. There's a lot of test versions out there of everything. So if you're fed up with Lightroom and you want to try on one photo, then maybe that's the time to give that some thought and try it out, or vice versa.
Yeah. There's a lot of other choices out there. I've been lately using a lot of Linux. And there's some really good software, free software on Linux.
You look at Darktable?
Darktable's one, Raw Therapy's another, and the one I've been lately using a lot of is Digicam with a K, D-I-G-I.
I haven't seen that one.
D-I-G-I-K-A-M. I hadn't either, and so I'm taking some of this time to go back through my old photos and learn how to use this software. So yeah, that's a great time to get some. In fact, I could recommend a fabulous little course that a guy named Chris Marquardt put out on how to use Lightroom better. You have a bunch of stuff. Where's the best place to go? Is it Discover the Top Floor?
It's Discover the Top Floor. It's tips from the top floor. There's links that go.
If you sign up for his newsletter, he's offering what is it? 1,000 photos.
1 hour, 1,000.
Yeah, I think this would be a great time to learn that skill. And I guarantee you, all of us have thousands of photos we've been meaning to go through. This would be a good time to do it.
That's the case for almost everyone, yeah.
Right. And you could get them printed out. There's still companies doing that. And you can get them shipped to you and put them up on the wall.
For example, yes.
Yeah. Chris, I hope you and Monica take care of yourself. Stay healthy. I'm sorry your workshop was canceled. I'm sorry your future workshops are put on hold. It's fun to dream, though. Go to discoverthetopfloor.com and think about all those great workshops Chris offers. And actually, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I'll mention our assignment. I guess this is another thing you could do, is get out there and take some pictures for Chris's photo assignment. Chris, be well. We'll see you next week.
You too.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Now I have a whole extra one recorded if you feel like you want to take a day off. Because
it's not time critical, so you could just leave that.
It's an ABC,
or you could use it whenever.
Yeah, we'll save it. It's an ABC. But I guess you'll be on now for every week.
I'll be here for the foreseeable future.
Oh man, I'm so sorry.
Well, everyone's going to be affected. Some earlier, some later. So
everybody's being affected. But we have advertisers and a bunch of advertisers pulling out.
Oh yeah, sure.
So it's we're probably gonna have to do something about it. We kind of don't know what we're gonna do. I'm not gonna get paid. That's one thing I know we're not gonna do. Lisa and I are gonna be unpaid for a while. But that's we're all a little belt tightening all around. We just got to help each other out and take care of each other
and stay healthy in the meantime.
And most importantly, God, you do not want to get this.
No, not really.
Do your visual push-ups, as Anthony says.
That's
every
a good
day.
one.
Do your visual push-ups.
I like that.
Thanks,
I
Chris.
like that.
Welcome home. I'm
Thank
sorry.
you, Leo.
Sorry it had to end.
Oh, it is what it is. We'll talk again in a week from now.
Good. Take care.
You too. Take care. Bye.
Yeah. No. Thank goodness. But the radio show pays every 3 months. Unfortunately. So I have to, and I just got paid last month, so I'm going to live off that for a while. They pay quarterly, unfortunately. Plus, I imagine, I don't know, so far it looks like all the advertisers are still there. So, that's the funny thing is there are advertisers like Remote PC that this should be a good time for, right? But because everybody doesn't know what the economic situation is going to be, everybody's a little skittish. And podcast advertising is probably the first thing they cancel. The first thing they go, we don't really need to spend money on podcasts, do we? I agree. I'm a big fan of advertising, but, we're kind of the low man on the totem pole. Yeah, that's a good idea, Tickled. Of course, as Bitcoin plummets. No, I know. I'm not complaining. We are very lucky. Very lucky. We have a house and a roof over our shoulders. Everybody in the family is still healthy. So, even though my son is in Bali, I don't know how we're going to get him back. Oh, we won't do that yet, Dr. Flay, but if it comes down to that, we might. But I don't think it's going to come down to that. I think we're going to be all right. It was a bit of a scare when, I think 4 advertisers pulled their contracts last week. But since we found a few to replace them, I think we might be all right. We'll see. Yeah, Singapore's closing their borders, although Henry says he can fly through. He says if you have a flight, change, because there's no direct flights to San Francisco from Bali, but there are. I think it's Bali to Singapore, Singapore to San Francisco. I'm telling him, come home. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number, 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, would love to hear from you all over the world. Just use Skype out. You can reach us, and it's free. Jay in Worcester. Hello, Jay. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. How are you?
I am well, Jay. How are things for you?
Well, it's all right, I guess. I can't stand living the way we're living right now, but I got to deal with it.
It's hard, isn't it?
Hey, by the way, I got to say something to you. On Sundays for the past 6 weeks, we do not get you at 7 p.m. We get you at 8 to 10 for 2 hours.
Complain to your local affiliate. We're on 200 stations all over What's our Worcester affiliate? I don't know.
WTAG.
Yeah. It's not unusual. As we do the show live, just so people know, we do the show live Saturday and Sunday from 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern. You know that because you're calling in live, not when the show is aired. And in many markets, they air it later. Their schedule, they have to arrange a schedule and so forth. I'm sorry they're not taking all 3 hours.
Yeah, but they're still cheating us of 2 hours of education.
Well, there's 6 hours every week. You could take all 6 hours. I wouldn't mind. I never look a gift horse in the mouth. I'm glad they're at least running those 2 hours.
Okay, listen, your land of freedom that you used to trample on and all that stuff in Worcester, Massachusetts. The kid's got a question for you on a answering machine for a telephone. Jay, take it away.
Yeah. Hey, Leo.
Hey, Jay.
Hey, I got this. It's a telephone recorder.
Yeah. In the old days, when your dad was a young man, that's how we answered the phone. We had a tape machine.
Yeah, he still has this cassette recorder, but I'm trying to find something digital for him, and they're all really small, handheld. But he's blind, so I'm trying to get something big so he can feel the buttons correctly. And I finally found one. It's a Sangean DAR 101.
Sangean's good. That's a good company.
Yeah, I checked the reviews. It's got 5 stars, but there's only like a few. There's a few reviews complaining about the internal feedback of the speakers. I don't know how they figured that out, but do you think it's the internal circuit, or do you think it's hanging around another device causing a feedback? Maybe
I don't know what that feedback is. I'm gonna guess that what they're getting is a squealing when somebody's leaving a message. But I don't know. So it's hard for me to understand. I can't tell you what's wrong. Other companies make these still. at&t, believe it or not, still makes a digital answering machine with big buttons.
Yeah.
So did you buy the Sangean, or are you just looking at reviews?
No, I just bought it.
Okay. And have you had that squealing, or has that not happened?
Oh, well, it's still in the mail right now.
I get it. I wouldn't worry about it until you get it. If it happens, then there probably are some things you can do. If it's a speaker phone, then the microphone is too close to the playback and it doesn't mute the playback when you're recording or something like that. You might get feedback that way. I don't know if that's what it is, though. I can't, just from that description, I don't know.
Right.
So
somebody says maybe put the volume down.
Yeah, that probably would help. If it really got bad, you could record the message, but then put a little piece of masking tape over the microphone, so because you don't need it after you've recorded the message, the outgoing message, and then maybe that's what's causing the feedback. That might work.
Okay, because I just had to get it because it's easier for him to use.
Oh, yeah, digital's much better than cassette. It doesn't ever wear out. The only drawback to digital is they have a limited record time, but so did the cassette, actually, so I guess that's not...
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, good. You're a good son, Jay, taking care of your man.
Yeah. Hey, Leo, can I ask you one more question?
Yeah, sure.
I'm converting my van into like to live in, and I got this... I bought a lithium-ion battery from Battleborn, and they're expensive, but they're supposed to be one of the best on the market.
Yeah, they're big, too, and that's why you want that, because it has a lot of capacity.
Yeah, I heard you can, it has 30,000 charge times.
Yeah. That's the number of cycles, and the biggest batteries I've seen are no more than 100 watts, because they won't let you on an airplane with more than that. They're usually 99 watts. So I imagine that Battleborn is about that size. But one of the things that's good about it is it has it has many cycles. So it's going to be more. It won't wear out as fast, I guess, is the point. A lot of RVers use them.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah. So
good.
I'd try it out.
Good. They call them deep cycle batteries so that they can last a long time. I think that this is normally you'd see these 12-volt batteries would be lead acid, but we're starting to see people use lithium ion in these things, which is kind of interesting. Jay, take care of your old man. I think that's great. It's great to talk to Worcester. My mom lives in Cranston, just down the road a piece. She's staying inside too. Tony in West Palm Beach, Florida. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Tony.
Hey, Leo, how's it going?
Oh, it's going good. How are you?
So it turns out, I'm the master mechanic, and my ex gave me some at-home care because I had a really bad flu. Turns out he decided 10 days later I probably have the coronavirus.
Wow. How are you feeling now? Are you okay now?
Yeah. There was lots of green phlegm.
Oy, I don't want to know.
But
I'm glad you survived. And was it hard to breathe?
Yeah. But the weird thing I was trying to kill about this is that same week that I have an elderly cat, Jay. He's a Maine Coon cat. He's 17 years old.
I love Maine Coons.
Oh my God! But I had to put him down because he went blind the same week I had the coronavirus.
I don't think cats are susceptible to corona, although we don't know. There was some,
we don't know.
There was some conversation about whether dogs might be susceptible to it. So
Right.
I don't know. Yeah.
But in China, it went in that market from animals to humans. So maybe
you don't know.
Yeah, I know.
I hope that didn't affect your kitty. Although at that age,
right, underlying health issues.
It could be all sorts of things. Yeah.
No, he had up to that point. He had. I'm sorry to be a Debbie Downer, but he had like a giant urine cakes inside my fist, and he had constipation. He's an awesome cat, though.
Oh, well, I'm so sorry to hear about that, and I'm sorry to hear about your illness. But I'm glad you kind of made it through.
I was supposed to say greetings from Corona, Florida. I'm sorry.
Tony, it's a pleasure to talk to you. You said you had moved over from AT&T to Comcast?
Yes, and it's been wonderful. There was a 4-day limbo thing, and
yeah, the handoff is never pleasant.
Oh my God, it was awful. But anyway, so I want to tell your listeners that don't be fearful of that. So I went from AT&T, the evil Death Star, to Comcast with 2 phone lines.
Some might say you're moving from the frying pan to the fire, but the good news, I'm a Comcast subscriber here in Northern California. The good news is, in general, cable internet is faster than DSL, the phone company.
I'm going to brag a little bit. I have 200 megs down.
Oh, I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous.
I know. Anyway, so it went from because AT&T went from $45 a month, charging by the minute over your minutes, whatever that was.
Oh,
I know.
Oh, you're telling me you're using Xfinity's cell phone service?
No. It's their home landline service.
But their landline. Okay. AT&T would charge you by what? For landline? Oh, man.
Disgusting.
That's horrible. Those guys, they are the Death Star. Hey, I got to run. I'm so sorry about your cat. I'm glad you're feeling better. Now stay inside until you test you test negative. You don't want to you're still contagious for a while even after you're feeling better. So don't get your friends sick. And I hope you get 100% better soon. All of you. I was very nervous. I don't say anything because what happens is it goes live, and if I go, "Oh, you just said something," that it would puzzle people. So for people at home who heard that, because of course on the stream it happened, when she hits the button, people listening on the radio are 40 seconds behind. When she hits the button, it jumps up to real time, cutting that part out. And it doesn't do 40 seconds, the jump. I don't remember how much it does. 8 seconds. The reason they do 40 is so you can do that 5 times in a row. Yeah. So what happens is 8 seconds get cut out. But if I say anything, we just pretend nothing happened, basically. Keep on going. So that's why you might wonder why didn't Leo say, "Don't say that, sir," because I'm not supposed to. I think, right? Lady Laura, finger on the button. Good job. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography. We've got smart phones, smart watches. Augmented reality, 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number, 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Let's go to line 2 right now. Erwin, in the Bronx. Hey, Erwin.
Hi, how you doing, Leo?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
Welcome to Lockdown City.
Wow. I bet is it a little weird?
If you look out the window, we've got a pretty good view of the northern Bronx. No traffic.
Yeah.
Even during the weekdays, and now there's nobody on the streets. And we live about a block and a half away from Van Cortlandt Park. So I imagine the only thing there are the swans and the geese and the ducks.
Yeah.
So
it's so strange. You just never see that,
Yeah, and my daughter, who's a nurse, chastised me for going out for groceries because we ran out. So I took advantage of one of the grocery shops opening up between 6 and 7:30 for seniors only. So she chastised me for doing that.
What does she expect you to do? You got to get food. What does she think you should do?
Well, I'm not exactly sure, but she chastised me anyway.
Well, she knows. She's on the front line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boy, I thank you, healthcare workers, man. We owe you a huge debt. They're taking their life in their hands for us. As usual, you know, it's first responders who run into the danger while we're running away, and I'm just grateful.
And she goes into people's homes. So.
Oh man.
So whoa.
You know what I've been doing, and again, this is another example of what would we have done if this had happened 10, 20 years ago. I've been using Instacart and ordering delivery, and then I just tell the delivery, which, by the way, I feel good about because A, they've got a job, right? So many people are out of work. And I just say, I leave them a nice tip. I say, leave it on the porch. I'll put a little envelope out there for them, and I don't have any contact with them. I'm told that it doesn't live too long on cardboard. So I guess what you could do is let the packages age for half a day before unpacking them, and then wash your hands afterwards. And that's what I've decided to do.
Well, what we've got here is 2 delivery services, and they're all booked up for 2 weeks.
Wow.
If you put it in the cart and then ask for delivery, some of it are coming up about maybe April 5th.
Wow.
So, okay, so let me tell you something. You figure that, and you figure that somebody's got to do a job, but the truck drivers and the delivery guys, we were just able to make a delivery about a week ago. And now when I try to do it again, that's the reason I went out.
Oh, yeah, I don't blame you.
Do it again.
But I think those senior hours, I don't know why they make them so early. It's I don't want to get up at 6, but that's I guess that's the next best thing. Were there a lot of people there?
Oh, yeah, let me tell you something. It was like lemmings.
Oh, no.
I came there and I looked, I said, like, all these people were grabbing carts.
Oh, no.
And running into the stores and going bananas. You know, it's like it was weird. I mean, you know.
Well, maybe that's not the best time. Maybe your daughter's right. Holy cow.
Well, I didn't expect it, but we did need the food, you know.
Yeah, you got to eat. You got to eat. Well, this is where, by the way, we can help each other out. Neighbors can help neighbors out. If you know, check and see if anybody around you is older or at risk. Help them out. Maybe when you do some shopping. I'm not saying this to you specifically, Erwin, because you should get somebody else to do it. But this is a good thing for you young people in good shape. Check around. See if you've got some people around you who could use some help and shop for them.
The problem is I'm not so young. I'm 85.
Oh, Erwin.
My wife is, yes. And that's the reason I had to go. You know?
Yeah.
There's nobody else around here. So I don't know what to tell you.
Help Erwin out, folks. Neighbors, check on your neighbors. Make sure they're okay. And you don't have to do it in person. You could send them a text. Check them and see if they're okay. Wow, Erwin. Well, stay healthy. You know, the good news is you've survived this long. You got a great, strong constitution, so that's good.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah.
My question about this is this. My wife and I both used to attend classes, and, of course, they're all going to something called Zoom, and my wife has used it. And like toilet paper, all of a sudden webcams have become scarce.
I can't get a webcam. Man.
Right, exactly. I can't believe it. Even Amazon.
Isn't that interesting? Well, one of the things Amazon's doing, by the way, is they're prioritizing critical deliveries. So there may be webcams in stock, but they are so hammered by people ordering, you know, important needed stuff like toilet paper that they're making those deliveries priorities. So you may just have to wait a little bit longer. Do you not have a laptop with a camera in it?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
What I do have, I've got a Dell desktop.
Right.
My wife has got a laptop. I've got a Sony DSLR. Photography.
You're golden.
A DSLR, and also a Nikon point and shoot, and both of them have what they call HDMI connectors.
Exactly.
let me start again. Do I just simply get an HDMI cable and connect it to the PC and expect it to work?
Yeah, if your PC has the right, it's all about the right connectors. So what you need on any camera, it could be a camcorder, digital camera, whatever, what you need is something they call live HDMI, which means that the HDMI is not just for playing back pictures after you took them, but it actually can take a live shot from the camera. And probably yours can. I think the Sonys can. I don't know about the Nikon point and shoot, but I know the Sonys can. So you take HDMI out. Now you also need to have HDMI in on your computer, and that's not typical. Most computers, if they have an HDMI port, it's for connecting a monitor to. It's out. I have a Lenovo that has a button on it that says in or out. So check to see if your computer can take input, camera input. Otherwise, you might need an adapter that goes from HDMI to USB or something that your computer can accept as input. But here's a question. Why do you need a camera? Can't you attend these classes without a picture? You only need to see their picture.
That's true. It's because, basically speaking, we're in lockdown, and I've got nothing else better to do.
Well, it's
so I want to just simply be able to do it. So I said I did it.
Yeah, but you can take most classes you could take as a audio. You don't need a camera. In other words, they don't want to see you.
No,
however,
that's true.
However, if you do you have a smartphone, Erwin?
Yeah, I've got a Moto G7, which you recommended,
awesome,
by the way, which is really good.
So get Google Duo or Skype, or there is a Zoom app. There are plenty of apps, and of course that phone has a camera, and you can certainly use that phone. And we've been using our phones, FaceTiming like crazy with family and friends. My daughter has an Android device, so I use Duo with her, and that is a lifesaver. A, because your family and friends will know you're okay; they can see you. And B, it's just real. It's closer to real contact. It's not exactly the same. I miss the hugs, but at least you can see somebody. You can see their expressions, their face. It's a lot more like being there. And my mom, who's 87 and lives across the country from me, it's the only way I can see her. And thank goodness for that. And one of the things I do, and this would be a fun thing for you to do with your family, is I'll set the phone up on a little stand while I'm cooking, and she can be in the kitchen with me. That's something we did when I was little. And I think for her, it's a little bit of normalcy. It's a nice way to kind of share an experience. You could do it with meals. Last night, my wife and her son were playing Uno, and they brought her mom in so her mom could watch, and she was laughing and howling because Michael does not play by the rules. And it was just so much fun. So I think, yes, you can probably use your camera. You're going to have to figure out the cabling into the computer. But your computer will take video in. So it's just going to be a question of figuring out what your computer can take. Probably not HDMI in. It's probably going to need something that converts the HDMI to USB. Guess what? A trip to Amazon. And you'll get it in 3 years.
Yeah, exactly.
I would say your phone is going to be a lot easier.
Okay, I'll look up. So in other words, what I've got to do is start searching around for how to connect an Android phone, excuse me, or how to connect an Android phone
to your computer.
To my PC.
Yeah, and almost certainly you'll be able to do that. Your Android phone has a Type-C out, and I bet you could use that as the camera. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Or just use your phone as your screen and your camera. There are many, many apps, as you probably know. Duo is one Google makes for video calling, but Skype, which we use all the time, Viber, very popular. Zoom works on the phone, so you can do Zoom classes and so forth. It's a little screen. That's the drawback. If you have a Windows 10 computer, there's actually something called My Phone that gives you the picture from your phone on your computer screen. So you could watch a class, use the camera on your phone, watch a class on your bigger screen on your computer. If you have an OTG, an on-the-go cable, I think you should be able to get the video out of the phone into the computer, certainly on Windows 10. That's an interesting question. I'm going to have to work on that one. 8888, ask Leo. Yeah, that's an interesting question. Best Buy has webcams. Newegg has webcams. It may be easier to get it from somebody besides Amazon because, as I said, I think Amazon is really prioritizing vital supplies at this point over things like webcams and other technologies. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls, 8888 Ask Leo, right after this. Oh, I will stay well, Sparkle. Because I'm in a high risk group, not super high, but I am over 60, and I'm type 2 diabetes, so I don't want to get anything. And B, because, I don't really have anybody to fill in for me, so I pretty much have to do OBS. Oh. What do you do, though? Certainly you can, I know we can use, for instance, we have the new Panasonic camera, point and shoot, that has HDMI out. And then how do you connect it to the computer? Oh, there you go. Erwin Mike B we'll put this in the Tech Guy Labs website. Use your phone as a webcam with OBS. Okay. OBS is the streaming, what does it stand for? Online Broadcasting System or something. It's a streaming program, free open source streaming programs people on Twitch and stuff use for capturing their picture. For Erwin and anybody listening, thanks to the chat room, we found a really great app you could put on your Moto G7 or any Android phone called DroidCam, DroidCam, and turn your Android device into a webcam for your Windows machine. It actually works on Windows or Linux. You do need a client on both. You need the DroidCam app on your phone, and you need the DroidCam PC client on your Windows device. And then you either use a USB cable or Wi-Fi. You could shoot 720p video in HD mode, which is great. And it has all sorts of camera controls too. So this is a great way. You don't need to use your fancy camera, Erwin. Just use your G7 phone, connect it up, and it becomes your camera on your PC. I like that. Thank you, chat room. It's dev47apps.com, dev47apps.com. See, we can't answer any question. Between me and the chat room and all of you, Scott is in Orange County. Hi, Scott. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
How's it going, Leo?
It's going great. How are you?
I'm loving this whole coronavirus thing.
You like staying home, huh?
Chaos is fantastic for my business.
What is your business?
I do educational videos.
Oh.
And I plan on making millions and millions and millions of dollars off of it.
I hope you're not going to scam people, Scott.
No. My point is, we're in a panic, okay?
Yeah.
If you're anxious, you're having if you're afraid of elevators, it's based on the facts. I've been doing tons of research, right, of the facts of this. We're all being whipped up by the media. And
all right, I'm going to hang up on you because that's complete and utter nonsense and dangerous. Literally dangerous. Ed in Lovett-Town, PA. Hi, Ed.
Hello, Leo.
Good to talk to you, Ed.
Frugal Ed in Bucks County, Pennsylvania.
Frugal? Are you frugal?
I was the guy that called you about the 4 analog TVs that I had that I didn't work with my high-def antenna.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get it working?
I was able to buy 2 converters on eBay, so you got 2 of the 4. So the other 2 are in the basement collecting dust.
Perfect.
Yeah. Well, so what I have is a quad DVR.
Okay.
That I stream to all the. I have 2 Samsung and 2 Vizio TVs.
Nice.
And I have the old cable system that I do the over the air stuff to do all the TVs.
Nice.
So
you have quite the setup here.
Yeah, well, maybe not.
I don't know how frugal this is, but you've got a great setup.
Well, my daughter came over. She has 7 kids.
They can all watch something different. There you go.
Yeah. But she's on Comcast, and her monthly bill's around $700.
Oh, my God. What? That's crazy.
She saw my setup, and she said, do you think you can do something similar for my house? So I said, oh, yeah, absolutely.
So it's widely agreed the best HD TV and the most economical is, of course, free over the air. And if you live close enough to a city where you can get those channels, the quality's better than any streaming or satellite or cable offering. And it's free, but you have to have an antenna. Yeah. You have to have a setup, which you clearly put together, Frugal Ed.
We're about 23 miles from the transmitter towers over in Philly.
Perfect. As long as you got line of sight, you're fine.
So but here's the issue. I wanted to make sure that I was up to date on all the different products. And when I went to the Tableau site, they announced that based on the 2020 Consumer Electronics Show, that Philly was switching over from the ATC 1.0 to 3.0 before the end of the year.
Oh, interesting.
And that the Tableau doesn't work. It's going to need its own dongle.
So the technology used by broadcasters is called ATSC. And for years, they've been using ATSC 1.0. That's the standard. And the only thing that has to know about that standard, by the way, not your TV, not your antenna, just the tuner. The thing that takes the electrical signals from the antenna and figures out where the TV signal is and turns it into a picture. That tuner, you're using your Tableaus are your tuners. And if they say they don't work with ATSC, now one of the ways they got ATSC through is that they said it would be backward compatible with the original ATSC 1.
For 5 years.
So you're anticipating that at some point your Tableau's not going to work.
And my TVs that I'm streaming my high def antenna signal to.
Oh, actually, I'm looking at the ATSC.org website. Because ATSC 3 is likely to be incompatible. Whoop. Did it to me again. Okay. I'm sorry. I should be looking at my timer. I'm listening for the sound, but I'm still talking to you, so don't worry about it, Ed. ATSC is likely to be incompatible with current broadcast systems. It must provide improvements in performance, functionality, and efficiency significant enough to warrant implementation of a non-backwards compatible system. Well, that's frustrating. So
and like Erwin, I'm 72 years old, so I'm not going to probably, with the virus going around, I may not be able to be around.
Now, don't say that, Ed. You take care of yourself.
Last Friday, my wife and I went to the giant food store, and at 6:30, and the entire parking lot was full. And I said, well, these can't be all old people. And sure enough, everybody in the store was geriatric.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? I guess maybe just wait till the parking lot's empty.
Yeah. So anyway, somewhere down the road, it looks like I'm going to have to buy the converter dongles for all four of my HG TVs, and I'm not sure what's going to happen with the other two analogs in my office and workout room.
Well, at this point, you're not getting an analog signal anyway, so you've got some sort of tuner, right?
Yeah, well, like I said, I had to get the converter.
You got the digital converter, yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, I'm reading this document.
The TVs that I have are HD TV that only accept the 1.0 ATSC.
I'm reading this document, trying to understand what's going to be involved. Some of this is just capabilities like interactivity that you probably don't care about. All you really care about is I just want the TV signal.
Exactly.
And I wonder. That's why they're pushing to this ATSC 3 is so they can do interactivity. And every time they've done this, it's been a very bad idea.
Well, by the end of 2020, it's going to be a real bad idea for me.
Yeah. Well, TV is not the internet. Stop trying to be the internet. You're never going to be the internet. Scalable, interoperable. So, yeah, I'm not sure what the status is. So they say Philly stations are going to shift this year. That's surprising.
Yep.
That's way ahead of... So you'll have to get you'll probably have to get a new tuner. It may not be very expensive. I'm sure Tableau will offer them at some point.
according to Tableau, they don't have the chipsets or the equipment to make a transition. So you're going to have to get a converter for the Tableau.
Interesting.
Yeah,
which tells me that this is premature. I wonder if I wouldn't worry about this till it happens. I bet you those Philadelphia stations will say, "Why are we doing this? Nobody's going to be able to watch."
Yeah. Well, I was trying to get my daughter all set up for the summer so that she could get off the $700 a month Comcast. But
yeah, I'm not. We did an interview at CES about ATSC, and I did not realize it was going to be incompatible. I have a feeling there'll be a transitional stage where it will be compatible, and then as they try to roll out these interactive features, that's when the incompatibility gets introduced. I don't know. I have to read more of these documents.
Yeah, the backward compatibility is going to be for 5 years, and then they cut you off.
So you're fine.
Yeah, I'm probably fine, but
she'll be fine. In 5 years, the whole landscape might change.
That's right.
Right? Hey, I got to run. I'm sorry. I don't know an answer, but maybe somebody listening does. I'm not sure what this means for people. I'm surprised that the Philly station is going to change that soon, to be honest. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. I was talking with Ed about the change to this new on-the-air, over-the-air standard for television, ATSC 3. And he said that he had heard that the Philadelphia TV stations were going to shift to that this year. I remember talking at the Consumer Electronics Show earlier this year with a representative of Sinclair, big broadcaster. They were all in. They're very excited about ATSC 3. It is not backward compatible, but I have a feeling there will be a phase-in period because nobody wants to cut off. We've already been through this once. Remember when your analog stations went digital and the government had to provide boxes? And I know this is honestly, in my opinion, a last gasp for broadcast television. It bugs them, to be honest, that cable and now the internet are displacing them, especially because the internet is interactive, and there are a lot of interactive solutions. I know, Ed, you loved the idea of having an antenna in the air, and it'll still work during this phase-in period for a number of years. He said 5 years. In 5 years, in 2025, I don't think over-the-air TV probably will be that important. Already we have something called OTT, over the top. And YouTube is a good example. $50 a month. You get the local stations plus a number of premium stations, sports and news. Even some cable only stations like Turner Classic Movies, $50 a month. I think in the long run, I know you're frugal, Ed, but I think in the long run, that's where we're headed. Anything that broadcast does to try to shore up their business is inevitably doomed. Right? I know it's a great deal. As I said, there's no better deal than free over-the-air high-def TV. It's the best quality, the best price. But I don't know if it's going to last 5 more years. A lot of people still want that. I think OTA is a great... part of the reason I'm not up on this is I am outside the range of the big city television stations. We're too far in the country, so I can't anyway. Maybe somebody will know. I'm sure there's a broadcast engineer listening. Couldn't go to the NAB show, so... You can call us. What's the deal? What's the deal with ATSC 3? And should we be worried about our over-the-air tuners? Walter on the line. He's from Los Angeles. Hi, Walter. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
How you doing?
I'm great. How you doing, Walter?
I'm doing pretty good.
What's up?
I have a problem. I have 2 desktops, 2 printers. One's a laser multifunction Brother, and the other one's a Samsung.
Okay.
I'm in a wheelchair. I'm running Windows 10, but every time they do that upgrade, it seems to knock out my drivers. I have to...
Thank you, Microsoft.
I have to reinstall them. I've been talking to some people, and they said maybe I should get 2 printer servers.
And
so your printers are direct connected now? They're USB cable connected to the computer?
Well, I've been using Google's
Cloud Print.
Cloud Print, and I hear that they may be doing away with that.
Well, the only way they can do it, yes, they are. But the only reason they can do away with it is because you won't need it anymore, that it will be replaced by native cloud. See, so most people don't print locally anymore anyway. Remember, you used to have to connect a printer cable, and then it became a USB cable. Almost everybody's printing over their Wi-Fi network. And Google Cloud Print does kind of, I guess, eliminate this issue. I'm not sure. That's an interesting question. It's annoying that the drivers keep changing. There must be, they shouldn't change every time you update Windows. That's crazy. But maybe there's come on, how many new capabilities can you add to a printer?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's a printer.
Right now I'm down to just one computer, and it's using both the printers. I have like a test system that I use and my regular work system that I use.
Yeah. I think before Google replaces Cloud Print, they will offer something with comparable utility, I would guess. I use Cloud Print as well because it's a great convenience. Anything that can get online can print to your printer. You have to set up the printer. The printer has to support it. The printer, it says, okay, set up Cloud Print, and now you can print directly. At the end of this year, they're going to phase it out. Here's what Google says. This isn't much help. We recommend you find an alternative print solution and migrate your print services. What? There is native printing but that's what you're doing right now through the driver. This doesn't seem like much of a good idea. There are apparently two commercial services, PaperCut and DirectPrint.io. I wonder how expensive those are, because they would do the same thing Cloud Print does. It's not going to be. Yeah, no, they're not free. Thank you, Google. Man. I guess my suggestion is, abandon Cloud Print, print directly via. Do you have Wi-Fi?
Yeah, I have Wi-Fi.
Print directly via Wi-Fi to those printers, and I guess you just have to update every time. The Windows Update's not updating it automatically. You have to manually go out and update it, huh?
I have to do it manually, correct.
That's so strange. It should do. That's part of Windows Update. They update drivers as well. You said one's a Samsung printer. Is it fairly recent?
No, it's about 5 years old, and my brother multifunction is probably about 9 years old.
That might be part of the problem. But brother's still providing updated drivers. Yeah.
I've got another brother that's in a box, but it's and I have a Pixma.
The Canon, photo printer. Yeah.
At my desk. So.
Well, we're all going to deal with this. I've been using Cloud Print. A lot of us use Cloud Print. I'm not sure what the solution is, to be honest. Google's. I'm looking at Google's help page. It's not. Well, pay for a commercial version or use what they call the CUPS drivers. CUPS is the long-time native printing solution. It's just basically drivers. The advantage of CUPS is it's not provided necessarily by the manufacturer. It's their open source drivers, I think. So you might not have the same driver issues with a CUPS driver. So you might look for a CUPS driver for both the Brother and the Samsung, and maybe you wouldn't have the issues with having to update all the time. Samsung has its own Cloud Print solution. It might not, if it's only 5 years old, it might work with Samsung Cloud Print. I don't know. Samsung has terminated Cloud Print. Thank you, Samsung. Man, what's wrong with these people? It's very frustrating. Let's see. Although the Samsung Cloud Print service has come to an end, the cloud printing feature is still in use via Google Cloud Print, but they're going out at the end of the year. Oh, man. Is this a way for Is this a way for printer manufacturers to get you to buy new printers every few years? I don't know. Never been satisfied with Google's, remarks about cloud print. Well, you'll find another way. What? You got every printer manufacturer in the world to support cloud print. Now you're just going to flip the switch. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Mike Heiss, who's in our chat room and is an expert on audio-visual stuff, a colleague of Scott Wilkinson, says you should do a segment on ATSC 3.0 because I guess it is coming at the end of the year and it is going to change how people watch broadcast television. So that's a great idea, Mike, and I'm going to call on you to help me because it is confusing. 8888 Ask Leo. Last segment of the day, last segment of the weekend. I'll be back next week. I should have in hand the new MacBook Air. It's expected to come this week. Maybe if I'm lucky, I'll have the new iPad, too. We can talk about that a little bit. Sunny, Virginia Beach, California. Hi, Sunny. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. I do have one really quick question, but
Yes,
I promised I'd ask my 11-year-old daughter. But I was mainly calling to give you a reminder. I called like 2 weeks ago about the wireless headphone health concern, and you were going to bring it up with Steve on Security Now, but I think you forgot.
I did. Health concern or security concern?
Health concern. Just his comment about, he made the comment that he had.
Oh, that's right. I did forget that. I will have to ask him on Tuesday. But as I mentioned when you called, I've seen no evidence of that being an issue at all. So,
Right. Yeah, I'm just really interested to hear him elaborate on it.
Yeah, he said something. So, yeah. Thank you for reminding me. I will, Sonny.
Sure.
I forgot.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So the question I promised I asked my daughter, I was going to ask you this 2 weeks ago when I called, but I think I got disconnected before I could. She's a huge Broadway musical fan.
As am I.
This year.
Yeah.
I know. I mentioned to her because this year for Christmas, her big present, we took her to see Hamilton.
Oh, that's a good gift. That is a heck of a gift.
She was thrilled.
I bet.
Was thrilled. It was her best Christmas so far.
That's how old is she?
She's 11.
Oh, that is a very special gift. Nice job.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I mentioned to her that you had seen it before, and she was dying to know because she's heard your voice since she was born. Really. She wanted to know if you had seen it with the original cast or not.
I did.
Wow.
Yeah, I blew it because it had just come from off Broadway. Lisa and I like to go, I don't know how long it's going to be before we do this again, but like to go see once a year, once every couple of years, go see a few shows. And we went to New York and I had heard about it, but I thought a rap Broadway show about Alexander Hamilton, I don't think I'm going to take her to see that. So we went to see something else and I kicked myself. So I said, Lisa, I apologize. I blew it. And we got tickets right before the end of the original cast. I knew they were leaving in April, I think, of 2 years ago. So
wow.
Very fortunate to have seen that. But here's the good news. There was always this rumor that a movie had been shot of the original cast.
Yep.
And in fact, we now know it was. And Lin-Manuel Miranda, who was, of course, the guy who wrote it and was the original Hamilton, tweeted that it will be out. Not this year, not next year, but in 2022, the Hamilton movie. So when
2021.
Maybe it's 2021. It's not for a while. Maybe okay.
Yeah, we just heard about it.
Yeah.
We're super excited.
Oh, isn't that great news? Yeah.
Yep,
so she'll get to see the original cast, and
she can't wait.
Yeah. Next year. You're exactly right. Next year, original cast. So. I'm just grateful because that was a moment in time. It's sad now because, of course, Broadway's shut down and it's unknown how soon it will be. But Disney owns the film that was shot and will be releasing it with the original Broadway cast. And if you don't know what Hamilton is and all you heard is it's a rap musical about Alexander Hamilton and the birth of our country, don't judge it by that. It's really, really good. It was filmed in 4 years ago during the live show at the Richard Rogers Theater, the show that I saw, where I saw it. And that's pretty great that they're going to be able to release that. It says October 15th, 2021. So not this year, but next year.
Yep.
How exciting. What's your daughter's name?
Charlotte.
Charlotte. Yep. You got to that. First of all,
listening right now.
Great birthday present, Charlotte. Thank your father. And second, you got a date, October 15th, 2021.
Oh, yeah. She's looking forward to it.
I truly love that show. I've seen some brilliant Broadway shows in my time, but I think that has to be the best show I ever saw or probably ever will see. It was just amazing. And we took our son, who at the time was 14 or 15, because I thought, you should see this. This is something to remember. So she's lucky she's gotten to see it, too. That's great. It's nice to talk to you, Sonny. I will thank you for the reminder. I'm going to write a note to myself because I have a leaky brain and ask Steve about wireless headphones. I'm putting it right here where I'll see it.
All right, thank you.
Take care, Sonny. Bye-bye. Yeah, I use wireless Bluetooth headphones all the time. We all do now. And I have looked and looked, and I have not found one credible study that shows any danger, any risk from that, any more than there's any risk from a cell phone itself or holding a cell phone to your head. There are people who say, just in case, don't do it. Okay, fine. But I've yet to see any evidence. And we've had cell phones long enough now with wires going into our ears and Bluetooth headsets long enough now that I think if there were an issue, it would have showed up. I do think. Doug, Beaumont, California. Hi, Doug. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. It's always good to talk to you.
Pleasure
and always
to talk
good
to
to
you.
listen to you, and I'm glad you're well and healthy.
I am too, and I'm glad. I take it you're well as well.
Yes, we are.
Good.
Yes, we are.
Good.
So riddle me this. We have, I have 3 different Windows 10 computers. One's a Surface, one's an Asus, and one's a Lenovo.
Nice.
They all operate on the same Windows 10.
Nice.
They all operate exactly the same program, and yet those programs operate completely differently.
Welcome to the fun of Windows.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Well, actually, as you already probably know, that Incredimail has disappeared.
Yeah, that was the a very nice tool. That
it was.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
but it's disappeared, and so I've had a computer guy help me to migrate Incredimail to Thunderbird, and there are a couple of programs out there that sort of try to help you do that. I'm not sure which one you would recommend, but we've tried using a couple. In any case, he did one, and just to test it, and he migrated, and my email's working perfectly on Thunderbird, and I really like Thunderbird.
Yeah,
actually.
Yeah, but you lose all those Incredimail features.
Yeah, you lose all the little.
Truth is, I never was a big fan. It is cool. It makes your mail look beautiful. But it also has security.
Read it that way.
Yeah, and it has security risks. So they shut down their servers a few days ago, and I think it's probably for the best. As they pointed out, email has changed over the 10, 20 years they were around. So
he set up the Thunderbird on the Asus. I went ahead and set up Thunderbird on my Lenovo, and I noticed that they are operating differently.
Hang on, because we're getting the magic sounder that says it's time to wrap it up. So I'm gonna thank Lady Laura. I'll take your call right after we wrap up the show. Thank Lady Laura, our musical director, for doing such a great job and for staying healthy, and to Kim Schaffer too, way over in the other room, sealed away. Most of all, thanks to you for joining me. Please take care of yourself. Take care of the people around you. We'll see you next time. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So probably it's because you set it up and there was something he did. Doesn't Thunderbird let you export settings so you can import them to other systems?
That's what he said. And but basically what happened with mine is that mine just automatically set up as POP3.
Oh, yeah. Don't do that.
Yeah. And I can't reset it. manually or otherwise.
You're going to want to delete the whole setup and start over.
Even if I delete my email account and start off as a new email account.
It's always POP3?
It's always POP3, and it won't let me manually set as an IMAP. And so am I going to have to uninstall Thunderbird and reinstall it?
No, it's something... So you deleted the account, you set up the account. It doesn't even give you the choice of setting up an IMAP account, or how does it do that?
Yeah, I can do it. There's the button to do it manually.
Yeah, and you have to use an IMAP server, and you have to use an IMAP port. Make sure you're doing exactly the same settings as on the other machine.
Yes, I am.
And it's still coming in as POP.
And it still won't let me do IMAP. It shows that I can't connect to the server, blah, 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 whatever the message is, failed, blah, blah, blah.
Okay. And so it's not, so there is something different from the setting he's using. It's the password, it's the server you're choosing, it's something like that. Those have to be exactly right. So what's happened, and pay attention to the port, because there are specific ports that you'll probably need to use for your email client. But that's the key. And I would look in the Thunderbird properly set up and see if you can export the settings. It's probably in your profile manager. So look in the profile and export the entire profile, because that's a working profile, and you should be able to import it then into Thunderbird on the other two machines, and that would save you a lot of time. I know you think you got it exactly the same, you don't, or it would say, oh no, that's IMAP. So look really carefully and see. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on MacBreak Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.